Do it for the love, we not do it for the likes. Make them know success don't come overnight. No make them know a substance over hype. Do it for the love, we not do it for the likes. Enough of them love likes, that's alright. Sit down on a post and a tweet all night. See them on social media type. While like say them they a studio advice. Oh me never put them up on no flight. And me never see them a live no tour life. You me someone now you have so much likes. I'm always still a lead for iTunes. Simple mean we not ready yet. If we put the music first, that's all. While we they on a war and a hype. Work, dance all. When you see me, yes, I see I. And every tune when me ever write. And every show where we headline. No, we not do it for the likes. When we tell them we do it for the love. We not do it for the likes. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Do it for the love. We not do it for the likes. Never tell you if you bust a shot and quench them. Instead we tell you sell it gonna buy a yen. Cause we do it for the love. We not do it for the likes. Sing, them not like we, but we not response. Fly out and make them love we from a distance. Come home for 2 weeks vacation. Enough of them still stuck in the quicksand. Enough to hear us say them are the big man. In a Jamaica and them have the hit song. A gentleman me hear a play a Finland. Me never hear them play in a Pakistan. That simple mean we not ready yet. That one like a you own dance all. While we there on a war and a hype. Ready for the studio device. But when me put that song up on my timeline, no, me not do it for the likes. Me tell them we do it for the love. We not do it for the likes. Jesus Christ, do it for the love. We not do it for the likes. Young into the beat, everybody move your feet. Nanny no fit it and me mommy no fit it. When we mix a tune and drop it like a bomb. Me no wanna waste guy a critique me song. Me no wanna media guy interpret me wrong. So make me give me credits in a dancehall fashion first. Big up Kalanji and the one Capleton. The Wild Apache and the one Ninja Man. Then big up the Killer and the one Beanie Man. King Yellow Man, Buru Buju Bantan. Early B, naturally simmer the dan. Me and Jamaica him sister Diamond. And none of them nobody like Marianne. Ladies are you are real big man. Big up Lady Jika, you are the La Vegan. Big up Dirts man and even brother Papa Son. Big up Gary Mine, I didn't know I got done. Big up Chronicle, you are the tall Lakatan. Steal it, cleave it, Tony and Dave Kelly. Happy Digital General King Johnny. Exterminate and slay and rabbit. Stephen McGregor and Carly Young Nick. Big up Succulent King Bulby. Donovan Jermaine Graft and Mikey. Deep now the science and I know me ready. All of these Cub Scouts have to talk up to me. I know everybody I go like. Some things are just never said, no. Story of my life, ordinary person just like you. If you take a look inside, see the great things that people do. Changing lives day and night, but nothing I do ever makes the news. Still I have to do what's right, to the King of all kings, all praise is due. Yesterday I was on a train, a little boy asked me my name. He said, sir, I've seen you before. before, tell me who are you? Said I am a legend that you never heard of before. I said I am a lion, but you never heard me roar. I am a hero that nobody celebrates. But if one person remembers my name, that means I made a change. I'm the man who cooks the food and feed the street people in the afternoon. I'm the lady with the broom, sweeping the halls of your son's preschool. I'm the soldier who's up all night, making sure everything's alright. And if you ask me, I'm quite fine, being an ordinary person doing what's right. Yesterday at the football game, a little girl asked me my name. She said, sir, I've seen you before, tell me who are you? I said I am a legend that you never heard of before. I said I am a lion, but you never heard me roar. I am a hero that nobody celebrates. But if one person remembers my name, that means on the ocean of fame, I'm an unknown sailor. I'm the percussionist playing with the wailers, the one with the shaker, the mover and shaker. My name wasn't on the front of the paper, but me not cater. Much more than the worker is greater. Creation glorifies creator. So all deeds done are in the name of my maker. I am a legend that you probably never hear about. Words from the lion's mouth. I am a hero that nobody celebrates. But if one person remembers my name, give praise, that means I made a change. Story of my life, ordinary person just like you. If you take a look inside, you see the great things that people do. We're out there changing lives day and night, day in, day out. BBC don't show it, CNN don't show it. He's out. I know everybody I go like we, still we irie. Cause me no love likes, me no dance all style. I know everybody I go like, still we irie. Cause we no love likes, no. So every time I rise, we do it for the love, we not do it for the likes. Do it for the love, we not do it for the likes. Do it for the love, we not do it for the likes. Do it for the love. Success don't come overnight. No make them know a substance over hype. Do it for the love, we not do it for the life. Enough of them love likes, that's alright. See them on a post and a tweet all night. See them on social media type. While like say them they a studio a vice. Oh me never put them up on no flight. And me never see them a live no tour life. You miss someone now you have so much likes. I'm always still a lead bar iTunes. Simple mean we not ready yet. If we put the music first, that's all. While we they on the bar and the hype. We work, dance all. When you see me, yes, I see I. And every tune when me ever write. And every show where we headline. No, we not do it for the likes, but we tell them we do it for the love. We not do it for the likes. Shut and quench them. Instead we tell them sell it gun and buy a yen yen. and make them love me from a distance. Come home for 2 weeks vacation. Enough of them still stuck in the quicksand. Enough to hear us say them are the big man. In a Jamaica and them have the hit song. A gentleman me hear a play a Finland. Me never hear them playing a Pakistan. That simple mean we not ready yet. Long one like a you on dance hall. While we there on a war on a height. No take a control and all. Give me a beat and a mic. Ready for the studio voice. But when me put that song up on my timeline. No, me not do it for the likes. Me tell them I do it for the love. And I do it for the likes. Jesus Christ, do it for the love. And I do it for the likes. Song into the beat, everybody move your feet. And they know fit it, and me mommy know fit it. When we mix a tune and drop it like a bomb, me no wanna waste guy critique my song. Me no wanna media guy interpret me wrong. So make me give me credits in a dancehall fashion first. Big up Kalanji and the one Capleton, the Wild Apache and the one Ninja Man. Then big up the Killer and the one Beanie Man, King Yellow Man, Buru Buju Bantan. Early B, Natchin, Sima de Dan. Me and Jamaica, him sister Diamond. And none of them nobody like Marianne. Ladies, you are his big man. Big up the Dika, you are the La Vegan. Big up the Earthman and him brother Papa Son. Big up Gary Minor, you don't know what you got done. Big up Chronicle, you are the tall like a tan. Steal it, cleave it, Tony and Dave Kelly. Happy Digital, General King Tommy. Exterminate and slay and rabbit. Stephen McGregor and Carly on it. Big up Succulent, King Bulby. Donovan, Jermaine, Graft and Mikey. Deep now the science and I know me ready. All of these Cub Scouts have to talk up to me.
Good afternoon, folks. Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to the Reality Check. We are here with yours truly, Quincy Anderson, myself, and today we have a very great program for you because with the mountain fires that has been occurring in Guyana, we managed to get the fire chief. And the fire chief is here this afternoon, and he's going to relate to you guys on several preventative measures so that you could put in place in case of any fire or anything. Before we move on, I'm going to ask you to smash the like on the live, share the live, smash the share button. Ensure that everyone can also come and hear the message from the fire chief as well. But before we go on and bring in the fire chief, we are going to give you, with our normal bridge schedule. We have the Barbies bridge schedule for you guys for the week, and across the stream, persons who that will be helpful with can jot down the necessary dates and time for retraction for the Barbies River Bridge. The bridge is scheduled to close for approximately 1.5 hours. Also today we are going to I was doing some research. On the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Is a Washington website whereby you have some overviews of the weather forecast, and I managed to get a heat outlook, from that entity, NOAA, and from August 20th to the 24th, They have Tamari favorable condition for heat hazard, right? For Georgetown, we have favorable condition for heat hazard. New Amsterdam, favorable condition for heat hazard. And Linden, the same favorable condition for heat hazard. However, with the breaking down of this, the heat hazard simply mean, I'm going to put it, well, you know, this show is a raw show. We break down everything fine. We're not here with fancy language and all these things. We want everyone to understand what we're saying. It simply mean when you go outside, go with your umbrella, the place gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot, hot, hot. So, you know, from the 20th to the 24th, we expect some very, you know how the sun has been going on lately. Well, it's going to tune up a bit more within these dates. So ensure that you have your adequate equipments, like, for example, umbrella. Always equip yourself with water so that, you know, you can battle against the heat. We also have a weekly overlook. Region 1, parts of Region 2 and 3, and parts of Region 7 have a good chance to experience 2 inches of rainfall from the 19th to the 26th. So let me go over that again. Parts of Region 1, 2, 3, and parts of Region 7, rain is expected. 2 inches of rainfall from the 19th to the 26th. And again, this is from the NEA. It's a Washington-based organization that do weather forecasts. So I hope that was helpful to persons that needed to know. Without further ado, I'm going to bring in the fire chief. I know a lot of persons has been waiting to hear what he has to say in regard to the several fires that been occurring recently within the country. So Mr. Gregory Wickham is the fire chief, and we're going to bring him in the studio so that he could have a word with you guys. And Mr. Wickham.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you keeping?
I am good, sir. How are you?
I'm going
I see
fine.
you smiling bright today, man.
Yes. It is always
I
good that we
know.
can wear a smile.
Yes, yes. I know you've been out working extremely hard since you took over the fire service. And I must say, I must commend you about the excellent work that you're doing thus far. And I know the viewers would like to know a little more about Mr. Wickham. A little background check. I don't know if you could go into that, let the viewers be a little more aware of who Mr. Gregory Wickham is. So the floor is up to you. All over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Guyanese. I am Gregory Wickham, Chief Fire Officer of Guyana Fire Service. I've been in the Guyana Fire Service for 30 years, and I've worked in all the divisions in Guyana Fire Service, and I've also worked at most of the fire stations around the country. I began as a firefighter, and I came through the ranks, so to speak. And so here I am today to discuss with you matters of importance to all of us in this country as it relates to our fire safety and fire prevention. So yes, that's who I am. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Wickham. um, Before we go forward, how long have you been in the fire service?
30 years.
30 years. So,
Yes.
without a doubt, you have the necessary experience to deal with the mountain fire situation in Guyana, right? Um, I want to know, Mr. Wickham, as well, as a fire chief, right? You'll be responsible for leading, managing teams during high stress situation. Can you provide an example of a complex emergency scenario you've handled in the past that you were successful in managing?
Great. There are many of those situations. However, I'll just narrow it down to one. And I'll say one because that was complex not only because of the structure that went up in flames, but simultaneously there was another fire going on in another area, and we had to manage both fires, even though lots of the resources had to be directed to one of the fire scenes. But yes, and that is the Christchurch fire. We all know that that's one of the buildings where our students, our children, would have attended for learning. And
Mhm.
simultaneously, there was another fire in another division that we had to manage the resources, particularly our mechanical resources, or what people will call the fire trucks.
Mhm.
So we have to be
Yes.
able to manage those two incidents and at the same time be able to bring those two fires under control. And I will give credit to the firefighters because
Yes.
they did a splendid job in managing and controlling and stopping fire spread from these incidents. Certainly, if they had gotten out of control, many other structures would have been destroyed by fire. And so, again, I want to give credence to the firefighters and the officers who were very instrumental also in
Mhm.
leading the way so that these firefighters could have been managed, their health, their safety could have been
Yes.
taken care of, and also at the same time ensure as we work under those stressful situations that we bring the fire under control. It is our business to stop fires. And so all the resources that have been given to us by the government of Guyana, and we we continue to get resources from the government of Guyana, and so we have to perform the task that is to
Correct.
stop the destruction of life and property by way of fire. So yes.
Correct. Excellent, sir. Excellent. Sir, collaboration and communication are crucial in emergency services, right? How do you ensure effective communication and coordination between different departments and agencies during a crisis? Because we know out there, most times, when a fire occur, you would see the Guyana Police Force, the fire service, and various agencies and government official as well. Could you elaborate your communication on these crucial emergency?
Yes, indeed, that's a very crucial
With
aspect in firefighting.
regards to different departments. Yes.
Yes, that's a very crucial aspect in firefighting because we always would have
Yes.
to depend upon other agencies for support during firefighting operations. And so we would
Mm.
communicate via the lines of telephones, handheld sets, or what people call radio sets. And so those are lines that we'll use to get messages across. Um, if the need arise, then we're able to use other mechanical resources like having someone being driven to a particular point to convey a message or so. But we have not had that opportunity in a pretty long time. So the lines
Mm.
of communication via the telephones and the handheld sets have been working well. And I want to say compliment to the Guyana Police Force, GPL, Guyana Water Incorporation Inc., and other agencies, members in the community that have been coming out to lend us support during firefighting scenarios. And apart from that, we have to develop that line of communication by having many tabletop exercises where we, or what people call drills or practice sessions.
Mm.
When there's not a fire, we would put together some scenario, and then we have these agencies involved when there's not a fire. So when there is a practically a fire, it's very easy
Mm.
for us to be able to transmit information and to keep that line of communication open and receiving and sending messages. So yes, we have been doing that.
Excellent. Sir, as well, could you update the public on what is the strength state currently of the fire service, and what is, or what the fire department is lacking right now?
Firefighters have in excess of 800 ranks. That includes officers, firefighters. Like every other agency,
Mm.
you will never have sufficient of human resource. So I wouldn't consider that it's a lack, but it's more directly a need for more and more as we develop. Why it is a need? Because we are having extension programs. We are building more fire stations around the country, and certainly the need will arise there for us to be able to satisfy the number of firefighters that would have to go
Yes.
to those areas. For example, we are on the verge of completing Wales Fire Station. So definitely there'll be a number of firefighters that we'll have to dispatch to work at that
An
station.
employee
We've just
or employ.
completed, exactly. We have just concluded uh, the structure at our new headquarters. Of course, we'll have to get additional strength to lend support to firefighting out of that station. And so it's not a lot, but it's what we need as we develop the Guyana Fire Service to ensure that the peoples of this nation, they have the fire safety coverage that is necessary. And again, I want to say thanks to the government of Guyana for lending support to us as we raise these issues. They are right on board with us, lending support to us in every area, mechanical and human resources, even financial resources or economical resources. And so there's no direct lack. But as we develop through expansion, there's going to be these needs that are going to come from time to time. And they are being satisfied as they are brought to the knowledge of government.
Great, great. So the fire service, well, the fire service has been getting adequate help and so on from the government. That is glad to know. That is glad. I'm glad the public is fully aware of that. The fire service has been getting adequate help from the government of Guyana. Um, Also, sir, a lot of persons would have asked me, how many fire hydrants we have in the cities, because I'm asking you some question based on persons would ask me, ask him this, right? So a lot of persons are interested in how many fire hydrants they have in around the city, and how many fire hydrants are in working order, and what the fire service. You heard?
Yes, thank you. Uh,
Yeah.
in the city, there's over 250 fire hydrants. Out of that lot, most of them are operable. The few that are not in operation, they need minor repairs and servicing. And the Guyana Fire Service has now become the lead agency to ensure that these hydrants that they are first maintained and they are made operable. So we have a team of firefighters who are going around ensuring that they do servicing and maintenance to these hydrants. That is suffice to say that the government of Guyana has also uh, and would be continuing to lend support for the planting of hydrants. So we have an amount of hydrants again that we will continue to plant strategically throughout the city to ensure that we have good fire protection as it relates to the supply of water during any firefighting scenario. And I must say that not only in Georgetown or in the city, but we have been planting hydrants throughout every region in this country. And so before the year comes to an end, we'll have another 148 hydrants planted strategically throughout
Countrywide.
different regions in this country. And
Great.
so it is something that was not there a long time. Many communities would have suffered because of the
Mm,
lack of water supply during firefighting. But now that has reduced significantly, and it will continue to
mm.
be reduced until we keep planting hydrants to all the communities. Guyana, there would be fire hydrants in almost every community over a period of time, so that will lend support to our firefighting strategy.
Great, great. Sir, also of the late, we've been seeing a lot of fires, right? And based on news reports, these fires were set deliberately. Um, would you like to elaborate to the public on the consequences of setting fire to someone property, the the what procedure the fire service take in that regard, and what are the criminal charges that persons can receive for deliberately setting fire to someone's property.
Thank you very much. Yes, that is a sore issue. And the Guyana Fire Service has been working to ensure that we prevent the great numbers that we have been seeing over 2-3 years coming now.
Mhm.
And so you have fires being set deliberately by persons, fires maliciously set by persons. Those are two categories of fire that we would look at and recognize that there has been an increase. Now, the consequence of persons lighting those fires, if they are caught, is the police will have to deal with them. They will be taken to the court, and the police will institute the charge, and then they'll go through the whole process at the court there. If they are found guilty, then they will be charged with the act of arson. The act of arson. So I want to make that
Arson.
very clear to members of the public. We cannot determine that it's an arson. Arson is determined after being charged by the police, by the courts. And for that to happen, the person must be able to own up to that exercise or to that act, and or found guilty by the court through the police instituting the charge. But it is a dangerous act, and we want to advise members of the public to prevent those kinds of acts being carried out. And so we need to take very strong care and observe people who are in our communities, especially when we have incidents where someone may feel disgruntled, whether that be a work situation or in the home environment. When members of the family are disgruntled for whatever issue, to pay keen attention to them and the actions that they take to ensure that they don't go down the line to put up our structures, our homes, our businesses by fire. If they are caught, they will be charged and placed before the court.
Sir, could you give us an update on the stats for the amount of fire that has occurred for the year thus far? If you know that offhand, or at least you know.
Yes, well, thus far for the year, we have had over 2,000 fire calls total throughout the country. We have had over 2,000 fire calls. Yes. I would want to go forward to break it down to show why we amount to these numbers. Some of those calls, because of the particular season that we're in now, El Nino period that we have entered into, would be what we call grass fires. Yes.
Oh,
and so on that topic there, I want to advise members of the public, be very careful in your use of fires and fire lighters. Smokers, you're advised to ensure that you dispose of your lighted cigarette butt ends carefully and in a way that it would not cause fire, especially in this dry season. Farmers, you're advised, if you have to do clearing of your land for agricultural purpose, that you ensure that you create what we call fire dams, so that the fire would only go up to the particular point under your direction or guidance, and then it will burn no more. Or what we call trenching. You ensure that the trench is dug so as to prevent the fire from skipping or jumping or going into unintended burning to take place. So in this particular season, you need to ensure owner of vehicles, that if you're going to go into an area where you have dry vegetation, that you ensure that you turn your engine off in an area where it is very clear and doesn't have the kind of what we call in colloquial terms, the bush or bushes. Because if your engine is on, sparks from the exhaust can cause fire spread. And so we advise against those. We have had a number of electrical fires, both internal, that is within people's structure or buildings, and then external electrical fires. Some of these electrical fires have been because persons have been, in very clear terms, been stealing electricity. Some have been overloading the electrical circuits in their homes, wanting to have 2, 3, 4 appliances into one point, or what we call a power strip. And so that there overloads the electrical circuit, and in real time it puts pressure on that particular point that you're getting the electricity from. And before you notice, that building, that fan, the TV, the microwave, the computer, if they're all plugged into that power strip, we begin to heat, overheat, and then eventually you'll have a fire. So those are some of the causes why we have so many fires. Yes.
That was very informative, sir. And again, community engagement is vital for building trust and awareness. Hello,
Yes, I'm there.
Mr. Wickham, you hear me?
I'm there. I'm there.
Yes. Community engagement is vital for building trust and awareness, right? How do
Oh,
you
yes.
foster positive relationships with the community and encourage fire prevention and safety education initiatives?
Great. We have been doing that in many ways. So I'm going to highlight a few of those opportunities that we have taken hold of to ensure that members of the public, whether that be business or private owned properties, that they're educated as it relates to fire safety and fire prevention. Already in Guyana, the Guyana Fire Service would have trained most of the community police, the staff of the community police, because they're widespread. They cover most of the areas in Guyana. And so we have already educated a whole host of them. So that they can be used as what we call catalysts or ambassadors to fire safety, fire prevention. They'll go back into the communities from whence they came and inform persons. What we've been doing also, we've been visiting market squares. Market squares. Already we have visited well over 10 markets in this country.
Great.
Whether that be a Saturday or a Sunday. Which one of the
fire
days?
service has been out on the ground doing work.
We have been out. We have been out working. We have been out working. As we speak, we concluded Lenora Market yesterday. Lenora Market. And we managed to reach well over 500 persons, educating them, spreading the gospel of fire safety, fire prevention. We've been handing out literatures, pamphlets, tokens, fireballs, fire smoke detectors. We have been handing out little mugs, key rings with fire safety messages. And so there's a whole lot we have been doing, and we will continue to do that until we get the message to every Guyanese. We have to make Guyana safe from destruction by fire. It's alarming with the number of deaths we ever had via fire. And so the Guyana Fire Service has taken a position that instead of waiting for members of the public to come to us, we are coming to you. So we are going into the NDCs, we're going into the RDCs, we're going into the towns. We went through Kitty already, we went through the Penitence already. On the East Coast, Mahaika, we went Money Post Market.
All over the place.
We went in Bartica, we went in Guyana, we went in New Amsterdam, we went in Rosal. We are going countrywide with the message because every Guyanese must get it. We've got to stop this thing. We've got to stop the destruction of life and property by fire. Every time there's a fire, there's an economic loss or cost attached to it. Some people have not been able to rebuild ever since they had a fire. We have seen, very emotionally, we have been touched and moved. We've seen many Guyanese, our brothers, our sisters, our neighbors in some cases, walk with their backs naked because of fire. We are not sitting and allow that to continue. We are going to reach every Guyanese. We're going to the schools, reaching our children, spreading the message of fire safety. We're keeping seminars, lecture sessions. We are doing inspections of government and non-governmental buildings. And so these are, among many others, some of the things that the Guyana Fire Service we are doing in order to spread the message of fire safety and fire prevention and to ensure that we make our country safe from the destruction of life and property from destruction by fire.
Excellent. So, yes. Sir, when let's say someone is building a new house, or any new building, whether residential or commercial, the fire service has to go and inspect that building to ensure that certain fire measures are in place. I don't know if that occur right now, or if you have that in plans for the future. Um, I don't know if you could elaborate that and elaborate on that and let the public know
Oh yes,
if
thanks.
that's
That's a very good question and an interested one so too. When persons are building their private properties, for example, a home for their families, that plan will go through the NDCs, the local neighborhood democratic council. If someone is putting up a similar structure, but this time with intent to have members of the public go, whether that be a store, a
Mhm.
supermarket, a nightclub, those plans, after being drawn, they are passed through the NDCs, and then they go to the central housing and planning body, where there's a board that sits there. Look at these plans. Those plans are then sent to the fire department, apart from going through EP and all the other things, but sent to fire
Mhm.
department, where we look at the drawings. If there's need for us to make additions as it relates to fire safety, let's say you need to have another exit erected. Let's say you need to have a stairway erected. All of that, we will look at the plan and we will input those. And then we'll do what we call site inspections, going on
Mhm.
site
To
and
ensure that these
ensuring
plans
exactly.
are,
And we
yeah.
identify the areas that people need to do correction. And then after they would have done that, whilst the building is being constructed, we will revisit to ensure that they follow the requirements or the recommendations given by the fire department. On completion of the structure, we will also visit if the need arises for them to have a safety certificate from the fire department. We'll visit, look at the safety requirements, ensure they follow them. And once that is so, then the Guyana Fire Service will issue a safety certificate for the operation of whatever business they want to carry on that premises. So yes, there's a whole lot more than just going in the streets, sitting back or in the office, doing fire prevention talks, doing lectures, doing seminars. We are doing inspections and inspections of buildings also, and advising members or occupants as to the safe way
But
to occupy.
yes, great, great, great. I noticed that you mentioned mostly for commercial use. So for persons that dealing with residential, if they don't go and check to ensure that they have let's say adequate fire equipment or fire safety device in their residential property or exits, that don't happen for residential property.
I don't believe it is a requirement. However, the Guyana Fire Service is always open up to members of the public and builders.
Mhm.
And for example, if someone builds or constructs a residence, a property, and whether the owner of the property or neighbors recognize, you know what, this building only has one exit or one stairway, one means for people to get up from from the upstairs out of the building. If they report that to the fire department, we will visit and we will do the same inspection and the recommendations will follow for the occupants or the owner of that property to comply with. And they're given specific timelines to
Mhm.
comply. If they don't, well, then the regular route of
Take
going to the
action
court.
from there.
Exactly.
Great,
But each
great.
builder has the responsibility to ensure that each structure that they put up building has at least two means of ingress and egress.
Great, great. And what
Yeah.
about this a lot of persons for security purpose, right? What you would advise the general public to do in regard to this? A lot of persons would put grills on the place, etc. Could you advise the general public on how to effectively install grills? For example, some persons would put grills by the window, have no farmer opening that grill. You know now the guys are building it that you could open it, right? You could bolt it from inside, and but it could open. Um, how would you go about advising the general public to be more aware with these safety measure in case of a fire?
Thank you. Yes, alarmingly again on this particular topic, we've had many lives lost within people's before being destroyed by fire. Beautiful
Grill.
structures, great architectural splendor when you look at these buildings, but because it is so grilled up and persons look only as their security. They want to prevent invaders, or in colloquial terms, clear terms, we call it thieves. So they grill every place. And we have seen a large number of persons dying with the very keys to their home that is secure so much with grills by the doorway, cannot get out. Uh, Maybe by a window trying to shout for help and cannot get out. So some of the things we have been advising, if you have to grill, fine. The Guyana Fire Service will support that you grill. But you must have ways or means to escape your property, your building, or any building that you're going to be in, even though you're going to grill. So we advise a few things. One, if you're going to grill, you should have the grills to the doors, grills to windows. They must be on inches so that you and your family can escape in event of a fire. If it means you have to put a lock on it, the family need to work out which one of the windows, even though it might have a lock, the lock might not be locked or squeeze in. Or if you're going to do that, then the keys are readily available next to the very window, next to the very door that you will use to escape in event of a fire. And so we advise, in your home, you can put one of the keys to any of the doors in a glass front box, very small box, right next to the door. And you and your family know we'll break this glass and take the key out to exit in event of there being a fire. It's a very simple, very cheap in colloquial terms for us to do that. Put the keys right there in a glass front box. Only those of you who are in your home will be able to gain access to that key in event of a fire. No intruder can.
What the keys for. Yes.
Exactly. If you're going to use a bunch of keys, ensure you use what we call color coding scheme, or you number them. Number 1 key, number 2 key, number 3 key. Some people have lots of doors, so you can number the keys, or you color code them. The ones that you put red coating on or red paint on indicate you know what, this here is the key that I should use in the event of there being a fire. So there is a number of things that we advise members of the public to do to prevent them dying within their own properties or homes. Yes.
Yes. Great, sir. Another sore issue, climate change, right? With climate change affecting the frequency and intensity of wildfires, right? And our emergency, how do you prepare your department to adapt to these changing conditions and challenges, sir? Because
Great.
this is not last year sun we get. This sun different.
Yes, of course. We thank God for it. It's not that friendly to us, but we thank God for it. But we have to survive with it. But in a very formal way, the Guyana Fire Service already, we would have sent out El Nino messages to deal with El Nino period, where you might have spontaneous burning based on radiated heat from the sunlight. And so, particularly in the open field, if you're going to do burning for agriculture purpose, ensure you do contained burning, ensure you do what we call fire drains or fire roads that the fire will not escape or jump to an unintended area for burning. Ensure that you manage the use of your water properly so that the drains, they're well kept, because if there is a fire that warrants us coming, then we need the water. So take it upon yourself. Take the responsibility. The drains may be clogged up next to your farm and you want to do burning, ensure that you clear the drains. So in event of the fire having to escape, firefighters will be able to access the water and use it. We plan to go into the NDCs, the RDCs, have conversations with them, and put out a fire plan as to how to deal with these fires within given areas. Also, one of the things we have on the card to do before the year comes to an end is to go into communities and do fire safety, fire prevention, fire drills, in other words. Have members of the community come to a particular area or spot, and we train them how to do firefighting. We have to get to the people, because they're the ones who would benefit. They're the ones who are losing every day when there's a fire, and we have to get the message to them so that we can prevent these destructions by fire, whether that be on land, whether that be in a home. So we'll be coming to communities. Look out for us. Have your doors open to us. We'll invite you to assemble at one particular point. and we're going to train you in doing firefighting so that you can lend support where a fire station or a fire truck may not be able to come immediately. You can start that
You can
initial
do the initial.
firefighting.
You can do the
Exactly.
initial work there.
Exactly. So it's all in building and fostering a good relationship with members of the public. And I want
Mhm.
to appeal to the members of the public. Fire service, we are a friendly force, if I can use those terms. We are a
Yeah.
friendly force. We're here because we want to help. Every time the siren comes down the road, it's because we're going to help somebody who is distressed. So please, I want to appeal to drivers on the road. When you hear the siren, the martial horns, the tooting of the horn from the fire tenders, please clear the way, allow us to go. Who knows? It might be one of your next of kin building going up in flames and you're blocking the way because you're having your earpiece on, you're not hearing the siren, or your music is too loud, or you just want to use the fire engine and with the siren as a way of escape out of the crowd. We know the traffic built up in many years, and some persons they
Yeah.
just follow that and use that. But please, the system doing that, give way to the siren, give way to the fire trucks, because lots of people may be in distress and the fire service is going to help. So members
So
of the
for
community,
clarity's sake, sir, every time the siren on the fire truck is heard by the general public, that means that an emergency they're going to attend to.
obviously, emergency, whether that be a grass fire, a building on fire, a car, a vehicle on fire. Yes.
Well, you
And
hear
and,
that?
and
You hear that, guys? Just
exactly.
some people say, "Oh, they been doing nothing. They must just want to go in. They
Right.
must
People say
just
that.
want to go
But
back the
also I
or
want the members of
something."
the public, I want the members of the public to also know that we do what we call humanitarian service. For example, someone may have left their building and locked their keys inside. A cat may be in a tree. A horse may be stuck in a trench. All those are
Yeah,
emergency services to save life. And so we use our siren to indicate to those who are in need of our help, the owner of the cat who is distressed, the owner who may have locked their keys inside, you know what? Help is on its way. So there are many reasons. It doesn't necessarily have to be a conflagration for us to use our siren. But once we use it, public must know we are going to an emergency. It can't be have run overboard. We have to save life. We have to do extrication, take people out of their vehicles. An accident, people are pinned. We have to use the siren. Time is of importance. And so please bear in mind all of those conditions. And many more that you may not know of, but once we use our siren, we are going to an emergency.
great, great.
Yeah.
Lastly, sir, what is your vision for the future of the fire department under your leadership? And how do you plan to continuously improve the service to the people of Guyana, sir?
Great. For me, development is very important. And all of us by now should be aware that Guyana is one of the fastest developing countries in the world. Well, I would say in the Caribbean, we are leading, but in the world, we are one of
Yes.
the fastest developing. And so, as development takes place, that must transcend itself to all the agencies in the country. The Guyana Fire Service is not going to be left behind. I want to make that very said. The Guyana Fire Service will not be left behind. And so we are doing development on many scales. One, we do development with our human resource. More persons are being trained locally, and we are planning to send them overseas to have more training. We are doing training at every level with our supervisors. They've been trained in management, in leadership, in supervision. We have a relationship with the Government Technical Institute where we have seen already well over 75 of our mill managers being trained in supervisory management in itself, leadership. We have had our junior staff because we are developing and we now have excavators to do island planting. The Guyana Police Force has helped us already with well over 30 of our ranks being trained as heavy duty operators. And so we are part of that development. Mechanically, we are getting the necessary resources. We now have fire tenders, but in particular a Bronto, that can reach 130 feet in the air for high-rise structures. So there is
Nice.
development. Yeah. On the other side, we have got another fireboat coming very soon to lend support to our marine firefighting. And also that will help us on land, on shore, because they can pump water from the river. You know, the resources out there as it relates to water,
Yeah.
we cannot we cannot exhaust it. And so many fires, we have used our fireboat to send water on land so that we can do firefighting. There's development taking place also. The Guyana Defense Force have been very supportive to us in this development drive. They have trained a whole host of our marine firefighters. And before the month is through, there'll be another 10 persons from the Guyana Fire Service who will be going under the supervision of the Marine section of the Guyana Defense Force for training. And so we are continuing to bring development on the human resource side. On the mechanical side, yes, more appliances, what people will call fire trucks. We are having those, more pieces of equipment. Honestly, to date, we have more firefighters who are having PPEs, personal protective equipment. Years ago, you would have seen a firefighter fighting a fire in the street, and all he may have had on is a long boots, in some cases an helmet. But now you have more
Yeah.
firefighters who have on their kits. For those who you don't see out there using it because they may have left it at the station in the haste of to get out. But they have. And so we are protecting our resources because that's it. You can do the most for any other the resources you can. If you don't take care of your human resource, you're going to end up failing. And so in this whole development strategy, we are developing human resource, developing mechanical resource. Of course, we're taking care of our members and their health and their well-being. Before the year is through, we'll have each firefighter will have insurance coverage for health reasons for them and maybe their loved ones. The Guyana Fire Source is developing. We continue to do this work, and we'll make our people in the department better, their lives better, and by extension, every Guyanese will benefit from the development that is taking place within the Guyana Fire Source. We will get to you. We will reach you with the message, and you will be a part of this development to celebrate.
Great. So I must say, this has been a very interesting segment we have here, and I hope that the general public is adequately informed. Mr. Wickham, anytime you're welcome to whatever new the fire service to come. Again, I must thank you for coming. I know you're a very busy guy, and your schedule is wide. I know you're in the community. You're in the community, and you're spreading the message out there on fire prevention and all these things. So I thank you for the time that you're here, and I'm hoping quite soon we'll see you back on the show to rap again.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, members of the public, for listening. And I hope that you've been educated and you're better able to serve from within your homes, your environment, as we are here to serve you. I'm going to be back. I'm going to make every effort to be back just before October, because in the month of October, we're celebrating what we call Fire Prevention Month. And we'll be going out to do more community outreaches. We plan to have a day of a youth camp. We want to get to the youth.
Nice.
We want to bring them to the fire service. They'll spend one day with us. We'll train them little things, not the great things that can put them in harm's way, little things that they can do at home to prevent and protect their homes and even their lives from destruction by fire. So look out for us, members of the community, particularly within the large Durban Street, Princess Street, that area where we're closest to our headquarters. We will be coming at your door knocking. And please, trust us with your children. They'll come and learn a whole lot, and they'll benefit from that aspect. We're going to the schools. You, members of the public, you're invited to visit all the fire stations. Feel free, stop in anytime, because we love to interact with you. Thank you. Have a good day, and stay safe.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Enjoy the remainder of the day. Yes, folks. Well, there you had it from the fire chief. I hope that was a very informative um, time with him, and you would put into practice what you would have learned from the horse's mouth. So you again you witness that the government of Guyana is head on involved in every sector in the country. You heard it from the fire chief himself that the government of Guyana is providing them with adequate amount of resources to effectively carry out their duties. And thus far, I know we've had a lot of fire recently. You heard it from the fire chief himself. He said that for the year, there's been over 2,000 reports of fire generally, right? But the fire service, the government has been giving the fire service the adequate equipment to carry out the function. You heard it. The fire chief said he's in the Guyana Fire Service 30 years, and now the fire service is having protective equipment, protective suits, and so on to go out in the field. They have a truck that could go over 130 something feet high. You understand? And all these things, the government of Guyana is ensuring that all agencies are being equipped with the necessary tools to effectively carry out their duties. Um, recently, the Ministry of Education would have carried out an outreach in the backlist, a dental outreach in the backlist. A lot of persons benefited from that outreach, and the residents within that particular community is elated to the fact that outreaches are constantly occurring within that community. And mind you, people, that community, the backlist, is predominantly PNC. PNC was in there for 5 years. Everyone that rallied behind them, oh, let it blow, and vote like a boss and so on, they neglected them for 5 years. You see for yourself that the People's Progressive Party, look at the People's Progressive Party track record, look at the transformation that happened in Guyana for only 3 years. Look at the transformation that is occurring. I have a clip of the new road. I will put it. That is the development that is occurring in Guyana. The airport will be equipped with with an extension that will have you will see restaurants. Extension is 50% completed. 50% completed. By next year, by 2024 March, the extension to the airport will be completed. And these are the development that is occurring in Guyana. Recently, again, the National Gymnasium on Mandela Avenue, simultaneously persons could play 3 games there now. These are the development that are occurring in Guyana. These are the development. It opened last night. 3 games could be played there simultaneously. And all these are occurring in just 3 years. We have better infrastructure. with the government. We have better living condition despite the government took over in COVID. And during that, our GDP skyrocket during COVID when all other countries' GDP crash. Guyana still there blooming. And who caused that? Because we have good leadership and the People's Progressive Party, Civic. You have to give Jackie Jacket when it's due. Well, you know, the reality check, you could come here on a Sundays, we would give raw talk. We ain't got time for no fancy English and all these things. We come into talk it like it is and not like it might be, right? We come in with raw talk. So what we will plan to do as well, next week during the week, you'll see which guests we have for next week. So ensure that you guys smash the like button, smash the share button, so that persons would be aware of the what occurred during the show. So people, please share, so everyone can see the show. They can hear what the fire chief had to say. They can hear what he had to say, because we know that the fire is getting really out of control in Guyana. And you heard it from him that most fires are delayed. I'm burn down this place. You understand? So most fires that are occurring right now are deliberately being set. And people, it is an offense. It is called arson. And you can go to jail. So this is all the time we have for today. I would like to thank all the viewers for coming in. Please, again, share the live, and I'll see you guys during next week. During the week, I will post and let you know who will be our guest for Sunday. It's a special person. You'll see. Just stay updated. Keep checking, and you'll see. Again, thanks to everyone for tuning in. Enjoy the remainder of your day. Ensure you don't drink and drive. Ensure you have a designated drive if you're going out to drink. Today's Sunday. If people going on the seawall, no speeding. Speed kills. Speeding kills. So please, people, just when you're on the roadways, look out for who is looking out for you. So, hoping to see you guys next week. Again, peace out. Thanks for coming in.
Some things are just never said, no. Story of my life, ordinary person just like you. If you take a look inside, see the great things that people do. Changing lives day and night, but nothing I do ever makes the news. Still I have to do what's right, to the King of all kings all praise is due. Yesterday I was on a train, a little boy asked me my name. He said, sir, I've seen you before, tell me who are you? Said I am a legend that you never heard of before. I said I am a lion, but he never heard me roar. I am a hero that nobody celebrates. But if one person remembers my name,